So there's both pedagogic play and there is ludic play. This guy, and I said it's all old white guys. I'm sorry about this. This man's passed away, but this is Johan Huizinga. And he was a Dutch anthropologist, philosopher, and his definition still exists today about the nature of ludic play. And all of you are involved in ludic play in some way, shape, or form. He first said it's free and voluntary. Now this, Tyson, probably doesn't mean you in football, because you may not freely do what you do. You may be stressed by other elements out there, because you made mention of that when you talked about your friend who quit, that you don't quit. When we talk about play, as Huizinga said, free and voluntary means that you don't have to do it, you choose to do it, and there's some part of the day that you want to do this, or the week. It's spatially and temporally separate. How many of you ever played jacks? The child's game of jacks, right? The child's game of jacks is, you have these, oh, by the way, you're all going to play jacks at the end of the semester. You're all going to learn how to play jacks. That's one of our things we're going to do, and I'll sit and get to watch and laugh at you. You're going to learn how to play jacks. And jacks is a game where it's got this funny little thing called a jack, and there are 10 of them in the game, and you have a little bouncy ball. It's like a super ball, and you sit on the floor in a circle, and you toss the little ball in the air, and you pick up a jack. It's all fine motor activity. That space for playing that game is just around where it is. How many of you played marbles? How many of you played marbles? Put your hands up. Not too many of you. Marbles. How many of you jumped rope? People jumped rope. Space is very different. Marbles, you have a space on the floor, you put a little circle, you have a shooter, right? And you try to get the marble. But let's think about the size of the Super Bowl that we watched on Sunday. Think about the size of it. It is spatially separate. The Super Bowl facility is a space that's separate. It's uniquely different. When I was at Florida State this past week, they have this monster facility, 10 stories high, with the stadium inside of it. And they call it a classroom. But the classroom is only used about 6 to 8 times a year. It is so separate that nobody else gets to use it in any way. It's just shut down. Bobby Bowden used to say, this is my classroom, and nobody uses my classroom but me. And in my classroom, I decide what is and is not. So Bowden's spatially separate means the space is different. Temporally separate. How long is a football game? How many minutes? 60 minutes, right? So the game started at 3:30 on Sunday and it was done at 4:30. Is that correct? You're shaking your heads. No. Why was it longer than 60 minutes? Because there are other elements, correct? Lots of timeouts, a lot of TV time, a lot of commercial time, singing to start the game. The time is very separate. It's not run on regular time. How many of you have ever participated in a sport or activity and time stopped? That you actually didn't realize that time had gone by, but you were still involved in it. That for me is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Spencer, when I'm on the rink. Time stops. So time is separate, it changes, and it's spatially separate. Play doesn't have a certain outcome. It's very uncertain. Even though those of you who play games, Sydney, when you're swimming, you want to win. Or you want better time, right? Swimmers always look for better time. But you don't know if you're going to get that time, correct? So you go out there and you go for it, right? And hopefully everything's in alignment correctly that you can get that time. What's interesting about sport for you, Sydney, is that you live and work in a spatially separate place, water, and the time arrangement is by clock to clock, correct? And the space that you are always stays the same with a few waves in there, correct? So sometimes a lot of waves, but whatever. So you're dealing with this space that never changes. Nobody comes in and shoves you or pushes you out of the way. And poor Ben back there in football has to look out for everybody who gets in his space and all the space around him and the space where everybody else is and knowing what's going on. But your space is very limited. You have a closed space environment. And you train within this closed space environment, And your experience is uniquely different. You have one of the sports, Sydney, that has an erotic nature to it. It sounded like I said something dirty, didn't I? It has an erotic nature to it. And the reason I'm saying that is because the water caresses you. You are completely engulfed by the water. You can't get away from it. You better love it. It better become your friend. It better become your lover. And I mean in a platonic sense, not an erotic sense. But it has a sense about it where the sensibilities of that sport ties itself to it. So you don't know when you hit the water, Sydney, whether you're going to win or not. You don't know if your time's going to improve, but you train and you train and you train and you train, hoping that you're going to break that, right? That you're going to go through that. So you have no notion if it's going to happen or not. But your space is so different than what Spencer's space is on the ice or Ben's space is on the field. They're hugely different, viewed in a very different sense. One of the things about sport, which is really quite interesting, is that at its basic element, play, you don't bake bread. It doesn't make anything. And because it doesn't make anything, people who run colleges and universities, Ben, won't give you any credit. You don't make a product that looks like the products of everywhere else. Your product is all bodily oriented. Your product is about you developing yourself bodily in relationship to the sport. And your product is the play on the field. And when you get done, there's nothing there but the win or the loss. And so the universities can't seem to figure out how to measure that or how to give you credit for that or whatever. If, Ben, you were in dance, every time you walked on the field, you would get credit toward a degree. The dance degree here at the University of Idaho gives credit for every performance that they do that goes toward their major. You don't get squat. You get a credit for participation that doesn't count as a PEP or physical education, right? But the dancers get to do that. Now here's another interesting thing, Ben. I have a friend who has a PhD in dance. I have a friend who has a PhD in shot put. Not from this country. I have a friend who has a PhD in ski jumping. Not from this country. And the rest of the world, you can get majors in the field of endeavor that you are, but not in this country. But you can in dance. And what do dancers do that are different than football players? Nothing. Not much. Dancers walk, skip, hop, slide, jump, gallop, skip, just the same as you do. But they get credit for it, and you don't. There's just something essentially wrong with the notion that dance is worthy, but football is not worthy. And it has to do with this notion about something being productive. When we look at play has a very large make-believe quality to it, and maybe that's why. People always say dance counts because it's artsy, right? It's an art. Dr. Stoll, it's an art. And as an art, you should get credit for it. But football is an art too. Swimming is an art. Skating is an art. Basketball is an art. One has to have art-like ability to be able to perform on the field. It's not just technique. There are really no separateness between whatever. It has drama to it, life and death measures. It has all the certain things that art does, but we give no credit to it. This is the last slide I'm going to do today, but this one has to do with play per se. And as you look at the qualities of play, here's pedetic play, which has really no meaning to it, just do it. And here's ludic play. And all of you are ludic players in some way, shape, or form. Even now here at the university, whether you're playing games, whether you're exercising, doing dance, or whether you're doing sport, you fall within this quality of play. There's also different ways we look at it, which we'll talk about next time, that has to do with the expressive qualities, competitive and non-competitive qualities to it.